Hello, my viewers. Welcome to this webcast series on soft skills. As we discussed in our last webcast, we had discussed in depth anything and everything that was related to the different paradigms and the in-depth analysis of soft skills. As I had promised you, me, Mayank Bharadwaj, that I will bring forward further in-depth analysis again of soft skills in my future sessions, future webcasts to all of you. So if I promise, if I commit, I complete it, right? And today again we are meeting here, this time to cover, to analyze and understand in detail anything and everything which is related to one of the major soft skills which we use in our daily life, in our professional lives, in our personal lives, the family as well as routine life. This one particular skill set is something that we use to express our views, our very ideas, to even present the very sentences that we bring right from our mouth, and these very sentences are then communicated by us and are really hopefully listened to by others. This particular skill set we know of better as communication skills. So communication skills is actually not just a set of two words. Communication skills is a set of n number of skill sets in itself. What matters the most is how well you are able to express yourself using all these different skill sets, which we sum up together as communication skills. What matters the most is your words, your verbiages, your terms, terminologies, your viewpoints, how you are expressing it, whether you are expressing it positively or you are expressing it in a negative tone, or are you using your eye gaze, are you actually using eye contact, what kind of body movement, your hand gestures, your hand movements, your particular open or closed body posture, anything and everything, just a few. I've just mentioned just a few of the entire in-depth scales, the parameters that we put forth in communication skills. So all of these are very important. We can see it right on the home template. Some of them I've just mentioned them here, but not to use our time and utilize our time only on the home template, because I have a lot for you to be presented right here in this webcast. So going further, let's see what communication skills actually are about. So like I just shared, that communication skills, they allow you to understand. Let's be very, very careful on this. Communication skills allow you to understand and be understood by others. So this particular skill set, I guess, definitely is very, very critical, because you get to understand others and you also get to create an opportunity by being understood well by others. So if you really want to create an opportunity, you really want to create some space in others' lives or in others' mindset, right? Professionally talking, very important. Personally talking, again, it's very critical. So henceforth, a good set of communication skills are very important for all of you. So let's just go ahead and effective communicating of ideas to others, actively listening in conversations with other people, giving and receiving critical feedback. We'll cover that in a great detail further as we move ahead. And public speaking. So communicating ideas to others, actively listening, giving and receiving feedback, and public speaking. These are just only some of the measures that you need to take, just some of these areas that you must cover. These are just those, must-dos. Now, communicating of ideas, opinions is what matters the most, and communicating it in the most polite and precise manner. So precision is another territory that you need to get into when you're talking of effective communication skills or even communication skills, right? So be precise, and you will be always touching the sky. Going further, now all you need to know about communication and the communication skills. So communication skills basically are the abilities you use when giving and receiving different kinds of information. So ideas, views, facts, figures, statistics, all of this comes under your giving and receiving of different kinds of information. How or what medium we are using, that we'll be discussing further. So just an example is the ideas, feelings, or even an update on a project. So when we mention project, obviously I'm talking of the professional life, right? So communication skills by and large involves listening. First, you need to listen. You need to learn to listen. So listening in itself is quite a detailed territory that must be analyzed, understood as to what is the process of listening. I commit to you, I promise my webcast viewers that I will be covering this as a separate session altogether. So there are, by the way, certifications, exercises on active listening, not just listening, active listening. So how we need to do that, we'll cover in a separate session. So speaking, then observing and empathizing. So we know sympathy, but we rarely apply empathy, right? From empathy, we derive empathizing. So what is empathizing? We never say it's a subset of sympathy. That is absolutely wrong, right? But in one line, like I said, be precise. So in one line, stepping into the other person's shoes and then trying and understanding what role and how I should have executed, that is precisely what empathizing here means and stands for. So communication skills involve listening, speaking, observing, and empathizing. So what do you need to observe here? You obviously need to observe your observe your the people around you, and especially the person with whom you are communicating, right? Or you're trying to build a connect with, right? Going further, so communication is also helpful to understand differences. So you need to understand these differences through face-to-face interactions, phone conversations, and digital communication. Of course, it plays a major role. Especially we've seen that during the COVID scenario. Then even in the post-pandemic, now we are using it actively, right? So we cannot overlook upon the digital communication as a major medium of communication now. Henceforth, what it means, we clearly derive that communication skills must be worked upon in the field of digital communications. So you need to have a separate skill set on digital communication skills now, right? You need to be good in front of that webcam of yours. Yeah, you need to be really, talk well. You need to express well. You need to look well, look good in front of that webcam of yours. Also, your writing skills on the emails have to be really good. Your LinkedIn posts have to be really awesome, right? So you need to understand the depth of all these types of communications. Then and only then we can rate ourselves individually as one of the best communication skills people, or let's say the communication holders. Going further, so communication per se is sending and receiving information between two or more people, right? So, what to do? The person sending the message is referred to as the sender, right? So, this is something which we have been learning, understanding, probing, applying since our school time, pretty much. But this still, in any and every particular circumstance, scenario, situation given, this very much applies in a totality, right? So the person sending the message is the sender, person receiving the information is the receiver, right? Then the information conveyed, as I have already shared with you, can be facts, ideas, concepts, opinions, beliefs, attitudes, right? Very important, attitudes. Mostly attitudes are conveyed when body language sets into the picture. So mainly during the face-to-face interactions, there can be instructions involved and even emotions. So yet again, emotions, of course, mostly people have started using emojis in the digi communication, right? Like WhatsApp and your all the entire periphery, right? So, but mainly all those emojis were derived from the human face, right? The emotions that are the facial emotions, right? The facial expressions. Henceforth, the emotions can be communicated only in a physical environment. So, what I'm trying to tell you people here is that information is best shared in a physical environment. Then we get into or we step into the virtual environment, right, or the electronic environment. Now, so I have just a basic model, like I was saying, that we've been covering since our school days. So I thought I must share that with you, because this diagram here is pretty much the foundation to any and every communication process or any and every communication medium that we use in the present modern day world. So the sender sends out the message, encodes it through the particular medium or the channel. The channel can be any and every. It can be an electronic source. It can be even through words, pretty basic, right? The recipient receives it, decodes it, understands it, and sends out a feedback to the sender, right through the same medium or probably a different medium, or which technically we are calling here as a channel. And obviously to send it out, he encodes it again, and the sender, before on the receiving of the message, he decodes it, understands it, and the process continues. Then he sends out his message or response. Now, this is too simple actually, but in the real world or in the actual scenario, there are barriers, right? So there can be a physical barrier, there can be a wall in between, there can be a technological barrier. Probably you're talking on the phone and the connectivity is not too good. There can be language barriers. So maybe the same word means something in one particular language, and the same word has a different meaning in another language. So there can be language barriers. So there can be different types of barriers. So we are not discussing barriers today in detail, but yet again we will be coming up with this in a different webcast altogether in detail, right, in depth. So the communication process will be the same irrespective of whether you are applying it, using it in a digi scenario or a non-digi scenario, in an electronic or in a physical environment, right? So going ahead, so let's probe and find some more types of communication. Yeah, top side, the verbal communication, like you talk one-on-one using words, verbiages, terms, terminologies, and you just say that we are talking to each other, we are having some communication, right? Then non-verbal communication. By the way, verbal communication also means that you can also have it in a written form. So in a way, the written communication, which is number 3, it can form a subset in certain situations to the verbal communication. But these days, because of the highly specialized nature of written communication, we have started taking it as a altogether separate category of the types of communication. So hence, it's a separate area of specialization. Then after verbal communication comes forth non-verbal communication. Now, non-verbal communication is very important to understand as an area. Why? Because non-verbal means you need to, first of all, see, you need to observe, then you need to interpret, analyze, interpret, and then again you need to gauge and understand what actually the other person's gestures, the other person's gaze, the eye contact he or she is trying to make, what is it that the other person is trying to convey to you in a silent way. At times, words are different. Words can be positively expressed to the receiver or to the listener. However, the body language can be negative. So you need to understand what is it that the particular speaker is actually trying to tell you. So very important, the non-verbal part. Written communication, like I just shared. So you need to be firstly very good in the words. You need to be very good with the vocabulary. You need to be a good reader. Okay. To enrich your vocabulary, first of all, you need to read a lot. The more enriched is your diction and your vocab, your written communication, your writing skills, like we say, will be better. And hence your written communication will be good. Social communication. So this is not the social as in the society communication. No. This is the social networking communication. So how to communicate, how to connect, how to manage my image on, let's say, LinkedIn, something very professional to talk of. Facebook, something quite related to your personal lives, right? So we need to understand all of that. How to manage our posts, what to post, what not to post. Also on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp is used for both the purposes, professional as well as personal. So we need to understand which message is to be drafted in the precise manner. So yes, you will say that partly written communication is included in your social networking or social communication. It's very important. Yeah. Visual communication, quite obvious. You see and you visualize, you see and you observe, you analyze, and then you try to gauge and understand. So visual communication, purely physical in nature. So we need to understand all of that. Then again, going further, research communication. This is mainly from the point of view of science. This is mainly from the point of view of marketing. This is mainly from the point of view of consumers or customers' response to a particular product. And yes, of course, like the word suggests, for researchers. So there's enriched and a very high level of vocabulary involved here, high level of knowledge, the terminology is used. So research communication is very important for any and every student watching this webcast, any and every research scholar watching this webcast. So we need to really engage and involve ourselves deeply into the research part. That's what I'm trying to connect with you upon here. Going further, now what are some of the basics? So a good verbal communicator, what does he do? So an effective verbal or spoken communication is dependent on a number of factors, and we'll just see them, and cannot be fully isolated from other important interpersonal skills. So when we talk of interpersonal skills, in just to precisely express it, it means between two people. Interpersonal, so between two or more people. So a number of factors dependent such as non-verbal communication that I just explained, listening skills. So you need to, you need to hear, you need to understand, and then connect with the person. That is pretty much your listening skills. And of course, seek clarification in case you have a query or a question. Okay? Going further. So some of the basics of good verbal communication are clarity of speech. So you must be very clear when you are speaking to the other person, when you are connecting with the other person. So you can do a right? You can just clear your throat and just go on speaking, right? You should not mumble or have a husky voice, very important. Then remaining calm and focused. You must be very calm on the inside and highly focused as to what you are supposed to talk upon, discuss upon with the team at large or with the person, right? Being polite. So your tone should be very polite. And believe you me, if you are calm on the inside and focused, your tone automatically would be polite. It's very important to show respect to any and every person who's giving his or her time in listening to you, right? So give respect by being polite. Then following some basic rules of etiquette, like I just shared, this will all aid in being a good verbal communicator. And face-to-face conversations. So it's very important to hold these conversations. So it's not just holding a conversation, but it means owning a conversation, right? That's what I mean here. So you need to own that conversation. You need to hold that conversation face to face. This becomes very important in social gatherings, in gatherings of professional nature. So you need to understand the very importance of this. So for that, you need to have a good tone. Your intonation should be kind of deep and serious, sincere. Then a good modulation of voice, so that the person can easily judge, understand that wherein he or she needs to concentrate and listen to you, right? So anywhere and everywhere you need to adjust your modulation of voice. Pronunciation of words should be very clear and correct, right? Indentation of words. So the indentation of words implies simply that each and every punctuation which is put on paper, you need to implement it. You need to execute it correctly when you are speaking face to face. So these are some of the basics to become a good verbal communicator in any and every given situation, right? Going further, so again, there are still further some ways to become a good verbal communicator. I will be, I have been and I will be putting more emphasis on being first a good verbal communicator, because the rest of the things fall in line by themselves. This happens. So firstly, become a good listener. You need to become a good listener. How can you do that? So a good listener is always great at grasping any concept and understanding things very well. Okay, so you need to have a good area knowledge, by the way, for that, so that you can easily grasp things in the very first go, things or facts or data or the particular opinion being shared by the speaker. Okay, so the good listener is great at grasping any concept and understanding things very well. On the contrary, a terrible listener only prefers to talk, and he gets judgmental at the very first instinct. So either you will get a no or you will get a no at the very first instinct. Instantly, there will be a reaction from the poor listener. So for an effective communication, you should analyze and evaluate before you are speaking. This is what I shared in my previous session also on soft skills, that you should think and speak, right? So going further, yeah, quite a lively template, I guess. What does it speak of? It actually does not speak anything. It just expresses. There are n number of faces, and yet they are not speaking, they are expressing. By themselves, they are expressing. And without speaking a word, they are telling you a lot. Some are happy faces, some are thinking faces, some are just coming to life faces, you know, the early morning faces. Some are just relaxing, but a lot of expressions, a lot of emotions, a lot of energy here that we can find on this one simple template. What do we need to understand here? That the face itself is a dictionary of words, right? A face itself is a dictionary of words. So if you want to understand what the person is saying, keep listening to the words and keep looking straight at the face with a good eye contact, right? Yeah, taking you further. So I meant a good eye contact because in non-verbal communication, you need to understand exactly what is it that the person is trying to say through his or her body gestures or facial expressions. So give importance to non-verbal communication. Very important, even if at the back of your mind you are getting a strict no to any particular idea, concept, or let's say technology that is being shared by the other person, right? The person who's sharing his concepts with you. So you get a strict no on that somewhere at the back of your mindset. So don't give out a negative facial expression. Don't give out a negative body language gesture. Don't do that. Hear him out, and then eventually and finally, after you've listened to him or her, then respond. Don't react, then respond. So like I've said it here, so a typical communication consists of much more actually, not just 50%, it can be as high as 90% at times also. So at least 50% of non-verbal communication, which includes your body language. How you stand, how you see, how you look at the other person, your gaze, your eye contact, your scratching of your forehead or scratching at the back of your ear, anything and everything. All your hand movements, your gestures, right? The way you sit, the way you stand, everything is included in body language. So body language we are not discussing in detail today. For this we are going to have a separate webcast. So the way you are attentive, the way you look, you respond adds more worth to the person. So when we say person, I mean you and only you as a listener, you as a communicator, and somehow, somewhere, when you are listening to the other person, a lot more value is added to that discussion, to that communication, that connect creation. So both of you end up actually mirroring each other through the non-verbal communication, which means that both of you have a very positive and a good connect. So this conveys a better message than the verbal communication. With that, I will be rejoining you in a while. Thank you.